Do you have crazy stories from the road? Is I would say one of the more common questions that people ask me, both in the interviews and in just general conversation when they know that this is how I've spent a good chunk of my life. I should probably write them all down because the problem is, well, I don't have anything that I think would get anybody in trouble exactly, but like which ones people are going to find the most compelling and for what reasons, it could be a little bit tricky. Like, so for example, one of the better stories that I have about the road is when I was on tour with this, it was an Irish band called Junkster that took me out on the road way before any of the catastrophics. I think it was like 24, 25 years old. And it has to do with me meeting a stripper at a show of the Verve that they were having in Boston. But now, if I were to tell you the rest of the story, I'm afraid it might get too raunchy, and or some of the physical gestures that I'd have to tell you,
sure,
might be crazy, too crazy to tell. So I don't want to jerk you around by not telling you that story right now, but I suppose maybe I'll divert that, because if there's anybody listening to this that does want to hear the story, maybe they can call in later and we can have a follow-up that can involve that. I don't know how.
I would say tell it in how you would tell it, and I can always cut it out.
Oh, so, okay.
If it's too much, but
no, I don't think it would be too much. All right. So the story goes like this. I want to make sure I get this as right as I can for the radio. All right, so I think I was about 24, 25 years old. I had just broken up with a girlfriend that I'd been together with for like 4 years, right, and hadn't cheated on or anything. So, like, I'd only been having sex with this one girl for 4 years, and now we've been broken up, and I'm kind of like partly, heartbroken, but also new back on the single scene and stuff, in New York, being a musician. Yeah, I'd say we probably had broken up about 6 months prior or so, and I think I'd only had sex then and with maybe one or two girls since we had broken up, and it was kind of this eye-opening revelation. Like, I really felt like I was brand new back to the game, even though I was 25, so it wasn't like I was really that new to it, but it felt that way. Anyway, so this band from Ireland came over and was on tour with them. We were up in Boston and played a bar that was next to what's the big venue there? It's like right in the Fenway area. The Avalon, I think, is the big one, and then there's a smaller bar to the side of that. And so we had played at the small bar to the side of it, and that shared a door with the Avalon. So after the Irish band did the gig, we got invited over to the Avalon to see the Verve. So we go over to the Avalon. It's basically right through the dressing room doors of sorts, because it's the same basic menu. So now we're in there, and we getting a little bit of VIP treatment, just a little bit. We're getting some free drinks, I don't know, stuff like this. And there's like this really like just a blonde bombshell-y, straight out of porno kind of like, crazy looking, just fake boob girl. And her friend that just starts staring at me, and she's hawking me out, man. And like, I got no reason to like why she's zeroed in on me as opposed to anybody else that's there, but she's just like, I fucking the living hell out of me. Like I'm nervous, and I think, I was in shape and feeling good about myself at the time, and that was cool and all, but I really didn't have that kind of confidence that you'd have if you'd been years on the scene. Right. I was still feeling like a fish out of water and just trying to keep my cool together. So I'm like, man, I don't even know what to do about how hard this girl is. Like, now she's kind of like grinding on her friend and dancing around to that song, Sweetest Symphony That's Life.
Oh, yeah.
That was the Verve, right? The one-hit wonder that they stole from the Rolling Stones, and they're up there with their phony mod haircuts or whatever, like, it was a full house, and, it was an interesting gig. But this kind of girl that, she looks like she should have been in like a Poison video or a Motley Crue video. It didn't seem like
Tawny Katane style.
That kind of thing, yeah, exactly. But, probably just at this gig because it's a big rock show that's in town. And so Anyway, so she comes over to me, towards the end of the gig, and she's like, "So are you going to buy me a drink or what?" I'm like, "Oh my goodness, great! Like, what did I do to get this porno bitch all on my shit?"
My word.
Yeah, my goodness, what have I? I didn't think I had done very much. I wasn't sitting over there. She didn't even see our gig, so it wasn't like I had any real cred that I would have noticed. So, but yeah, all right, I'll buy you a drink, and we start chit chat. There's no way I could ever remember for the life of me what the nature of our conversation was like, but she was just really, really forthcoming, and so then she invites herself back over to the bar next door where we all go to have drinks after everything is done, and a couple of my buddies are there, and now she's like kind of lap dancing me in the bar, and just coming on really strong. So of course, I say to her at a certain point, "Oh, you want to come to our hotel or whatever?" She says, "No, I can't." I'm like, "Oh, great, another tease, whatever. I can't because I got to do this and this. I got to work or I got to go home to my kid, something like this."
Right.
And I feel like, she's just putting on this spectacle. I'm getting jerked around, I didn't really think too much of it because girls will play that card often enough. So whatever. So I let her go. She says, "Well, where are you guys going to be tomorrow?" I tell her we're going to be in Providence. She said, "Oh, well, tell me where you're going to be in Providence and I'll come to the gig." So I told her and I gave her my number. I didn't think she was coming. All right. Fast forward back to the beginning of before I even go on the tour, right? Hadn't really been with that many girls since I'd broken up with my girlfriend, so I go to the deli knowing that I'm going to go on tour the next day and buy some condoms, so I'm well stocked up for the tour. While I'm buying the condoms, I see this stuff there. I had been with the same girl for a long time. I wasn't even really in the condom buying market most of the time. So now I'm looking up at the condom rack, and I'm like next to the condoms. There's this stuff in a silver jar called Stud 100 spray, which is like some male desensitizing spray that you spray on your junk, and it's supposed to make you last longer, right? And I'm an experimental guy, so I'm like, fuck it, give me a tube of that, right? I put it in my backpack or whatever, and I don't think twice about it. Anyway, so lo and behold, this girl shows up at the gig the next night, all the way in Providence, which is a much less prestigious kind of situation. It's like we went from, Saturday night, at the bar next to the Avalon in Boston to the Sunday night, in some random town, it was Providence,
Right.
And there's a few people there. She comes, she's, drinking. I'm like, I can't believe, even the guys in the band couldn't believe it. Like, I can't believe this girl came all the way down from Boston to, come and see this. So, but she does, and she's flirting with me the whole time. And this time I asked her to come back to the hotel room, and she does. So, all right, so now we're back at the hotel room, and we're starting to, are we getting to the point where you're going to have to cut this yet at all? All right, good. So this girl has got way more, mileage under her belt than I do at this point. She just starts tearing ass into me, and I can't believe what's happening. I mean, she's like attacking me kind of porno style, and I'm really into it. There's no part of me that's complaining, but I'm kind of a little bit overwhelmed and a little bit like giggling. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck is going on?
Like that nervous laugh.
Yeah, something like this, right? So, at some point I it's really hot and heavy, and we're doing all kinds of stuff, and I get up and I'm like, all right, I got to find my condom. So I go to the bag and I find the condoms, and next to it's a Stud 100 spray, and I was like, oh yeah, I got that stuff. Maybe I should try that. So I just run to the bathroom real quick, spray some of it on, put the condom on. We go back and we just start screwing, and she's insane. She's like a crazy freak of a stripper from Boston, right? I'm having the time of my life. At some point, she takes the condom off and she starts sucking me, right?
Right.
And she made one of the craziest faces I ever seen in my life. I'll try to do this for the radio as best as possible. So she's staring me right in my eyes. She's got both hands wrapped around my dick, and she's doing this hand over hand screw job crazy motion. It's going up and down and left and right, and then she's using her mouth, and she's going like kind of grunting. And then at a certain point, she's got her head down, then she looks up and looks me straight in the face and keeps stroking me, and she goes, and then attacks it again and goes. And at this point, I'm literally clutching the sheets, going, Jesus Christ, like really cracking up and enjoying the hell out of myself, but I'm freaking out. It's just hilarious and awesome, and I don't know what else to do but sit back and go for the ride, right? Anyway, so things go on, and we're all very happy, and we're sitting there, in bliss some minutes afterwards, or dozens of minutes afterwards. It's kind of hard for me to remember it, and we're just laying there, sort of post-coitus, and she says to me, wow, oh, it's the strangest thing. I'm like, what? She's like, my mouth is numb.
Oh, that's great. You're like, I'm that good, baby.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's why.
You just go.
I think what I said was,
whoa, that's weird.
Yeah, that is crazy. It must be magic.
Oh, that's great, man.